So the first one is with the imagination, and the second one is about Paul's books, etc. And you're talking about the economy or whatever. So at this time, because we're in the new nowness, you can use anything as a reference. It's fine. But for the most part, it will just confuse you. That's it. If you want to stay confused, then go ahead and read them. But they're not needed because they will just confuse you. But you decide. Now, the first part with the imagination. So again, we're using the old terminology here, these parts of soul. Okay. So again, when Paul wrote the Eckhart teachings, they were basically literal. Okay, so when you're talking parts, you're talking literal, aren't you? Instead of all. So our focus is all. And so that's the toughie, yeah. But it's very simple, like the sun shining, because with this, you're not trying to figure out the literal parts. You know, it's kind of like the parts of your car. You know, as you, let's say you took it apart and you put it back together, the engine, and it's like, okay, now where does the radiator go? I forget. Yeah, see, those are the different parts. And realistically, with your real awareness, there are no parts, are there? Now, there's different parts with the personal self. Yes, you know, you have different parts with that, but the real awareness that we focus on, no, there's no parts. And the imagination, well, that's just part of the real awareness. That's all. You know, the actuality of the imagination is the confirmation that all is. That's all. It's just a confirmation. And it just depends upon how you see it. But you see, the imagination has been you know, in other words, it has been associated with the mind. So people, in a way, think it's part of their mind in some way. And yes, it does help the mind, okay, but it's not really associated with that because it already is. So when you're using the so-called imagination, that's just a real awareness. That's all. It's just another term for it. It was just something easy to bring into the idea, and then you have the idea of soul. And so again, see, all this stuff is confusing. See, what Paul wrote is literal. It's baby talk. So if you want to read that stuff, you'll just confuse yourself because life is. You have to learn to see it. And so you learn to compare what life is with the parts, which is creation. There's the difference. Now, in Eckhart, it's all the same. It's all literal. It's what it is. Paul created it as literal, even though he specified, oh, the higher worlds and the lower worlds. That's all literal, because there's no such thing as higher and lower. It all is. It's to be recognized. But those were the first steps. So all that terminology, that old terminology, will just confuse people. You're going to read in the books that your soul and that Gopal Das wrote the book that's in the British Museum somewhere, etc., and he was neckmaster. And see, those things are just going to confuse you. Do you need to be confused? Then read them. Other than that, again, you're the decider. When you can see yourself as the sun shining, what else matters? That's all. Wow, that's cool. You decide. NUUU is for your new awareness that you're aware of. So everything's new, not old. Everything that happened yesterday is old. It's always a new moment. That's the best part, isn't it? Just be okay. That's all. Just be okay. Like the sun shining, just be okay. Yeah. Yes, you're wonderful. See, we get through it. Yes, the mind has funny questions, and at times we become confused. We know what that's about. Yes, being confused. Yeah, so, yeah. And then you're okay again. So here we are.